Hey, you made it! You must be stoked after tearing through the competition to be named the Master. Can you believe you made it this far? Come on in. I hope you don't mind, but I invited a few friends over, because you're kind of a big deal. Probably wondering why we asked you here today.
To build a spaceship and live on the moon?
Yeah, not quite. We wanted you to be the first to try out Tony Hawk Shred because you are the best player out there. So here's my lucky board. Give it a try. Hop on. Get to it. Hey, Tony Hawk here. This is your Shred controller. You may not know it yet, but this is one intense piece of equipment. Some very smart people put it together, and it can sense the way your body shifts, just like a real board. There are also sensors on each of the sides that can detect when your hands or feet are near them. The nose is the part of the board facing towards the screen. The tail is facing away. In order to make the board work properly, we need to calibrate it. Place the board on the floor perpendicular to the screen and make sure the start button is facing to the left of the screen. First thing is the sensors. Stand in one of these safe zones away from the side sensors. Now make sure not to touch the board until the countdown ends. Here we go. Just a little bit more. Not too much longer. Great, we're done. We need to pitch the nose of the board into the air. You're going to step on the tail and make sure that you cover the back sensor with your foot. Okay, for the next 10 seconds, step on the tail, starting now. This is also what the board's going to look like when you're pulling off your first ollie. Not too much longer. Fantastic. Now for the other end. Now we need to raise the tail of the board up. Step on the nose and make sure that you cover the front sensor with your foot. For the next 10 seconds, step on the nose. And go. Now your board's tail should be pointed towards the ceiling. When you do a nollie, your board will resemble this. Just a little bit more. Got it. Now let's move on to the sides. We need you to step on the left side of the board with your foot covering the left sensor. For the next 10 seconds, you should be stepping on the left side of the board. Here we go. Nice. Almost done. Great work. Now for the last side. We need you to step on the right side of the board with your foot covering the right sensor. For the next 10 seconds, you should be stepping on the right side of the board. Here we go. Don't worry, we'll be shredding soon. Okay, all finished. You should only have to calibrate the board again if you change its batteries or if you connect a new board. So don't worry, you won't have to do this every time you play. It may feel more comfortable to have your left leg forward, which means your stance is regular. Or it might feel better to have your right leg forward, which means your stance is goofy. To get moving, swipe one of your feet past one of the side sensors on the board. This is called a push. You can use whichever foot is more comfortable for you. So in this session, you'll be locked into following along a path. That's how this navigation setting works in the game. All you have to worry about is timing your tricks, and the golden path will take you where you want to go. As you're riding on the board, you might want to put your back foot on the back curve of the board. This will help you with some moves that we'll get to in a minute. Take a look at the bottom of the screen and you'll see the board output display. We call him the BOD. This little guy shows you what your board is doing. When you tilt left, the left side of the BOD lights up. When you step down on the back of the board to lift the nose in the air, the bottom two zones of the BOD will light up. There are also 4 sensors around the BOD which map to the sensors on the board. If you move your hand close to the sensor without covering it, a crescent moon shape will appear showing you the sensor that is currently tracking your hand. Cover the sensor and the entire sensor light on the BOD will light up. Pretty much all your actions on the board will translate to the BOD. Lift, tilt, rotate, and cover sensors. The BOD will track it all. So in this session, you'll be locked into following along a path. You will get a chance to switch paths and choose a different route along the level. This will be represented as a group of arrows indicating the different paths that you can choose. To choose one of the paths, simply tilt the board left or right. The arrows will highlight as you tilt to show which path is currently selected. When you reach the arrows, you'll automatically transition to the path for the highlighted arrow. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. The tricks! The most basic building block in skating is an ollie. That's when you pop the board up in the air using only your feet. To do this, quickly lift the nose of the board by leaning on the back curve of the board. This is why you want to be sure your back foot is positioned on or near the back curve. For a nollie, quickly press down on the front curve of the board to lift the tail. Make sure you reposition your feet properly so your front foot is on the front curve of the board. Now that you've got the ollie down, let's put it to good use by trying out some grinds. Grinds are when you interact with the environment to pull off tricks and travel from one place to another. To connect to a grind, ollie or nollie when you approach a railing or other grindable surface. Your skater will jump in the air and automatically connect to the grind. Once your skater is attached to the grind, you don't have to worry about falling off, and your skater will follow the grind no matter where it goes. When your skater reaches the end of the grind, they will automatically drop off the end. You can also simply ollie or nollie to leave a grind anytime you want. If you ollie when you come to the end of a grind and there is another grind nearby, you will automatically connect to the other grind. This is called a grind gap, and you can chain multiple grind gaps together. Let's learn how to do some tricks while you're in the air. These are called flip tricks. There are a few different ways to perform flip tricks. The first type is the tilt trick. After you ollie, quickly tilt the board to the left or the right, and then back to center. You can tilt the board while the nose is still lifted or while it is flat on the ground. The other type is the flick trick. This is performed by quickly rotating the board clockwise or counterclockwise and bringing it back to center, like you were flicking the board. See if you can pull these off. I have faith in you. Now it's time for you to learn the basics of the manual. The motion to perform a manual is similar to an ollie in that you lift the nose of the board, but instead of lifting it up quickly, you raise the nose slowly with more precise control. You can also balance on the front of the board, which is called a nose manual. For the nose manual, you'll want to raise the back of the board and keep it raised in the air. You see that meter that comes up when you start a manual? That shows how you are balanced. Too high, too low, or just right. The zone in the middle is where you want to be for the most points. Signature moments are a great way to get some extra points and impress your friends. Every trick you do fills up your style meter. Once you've filled your style meter past the line, activate your signature moment by covering the front or back sensor. You'll know you've triggered it right if your style meter changes color and starts to drain. Now, when you pull off a flip trick or a grab, you'll get a different move instead. Each character has some unique signature moment moves, so see if you can find them all. Also, if you bail while in a signature moment, it will end. Hey, no pain, no gain, right?